Welcome everybody to Hanging Out with Temi, this edition of Hanging Out with Temi. My name is Temi Ajayi and I've got the ladies. Heidi, how are you?
Hello, how are you? How are you going?
Good. Liz, you look
Hi.
good, but you're not feeling good, are you?
Yeah, a little bit under the weather.
How are you doing? Welcome to Hanging Out with Temi. As we say, if you're following us, if you're returning members, thank you so much. And if you're new, thank you for tuning in all the same. I've had an amazing week until I heard the news. Bang!
Yeah, well, that was such an anticlimax, isn't it?
I cannot believe it. I didn't see it coming. That's why I was a bit shocked. First of all, Heidi, how did you feel?
Well, I had no idea till you told me. So all of a sudden, Temi calls me and she says, have you heard the news? And I went, what news? She goes, I know you don't listen to the news, but anyway, we're under lockdown. And I actually just had finished a session with a client and I was walking on the beach. And she told me the news. So I quickly ran home because I knew that there will be panic buying and there is going to be a lot of traffic in the road. So I went home and then, as I expected.
And there was a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's happening? And I start seeing people already buying toilet rolls again.
Yes.
I did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you believe it? Please, when you heard it.
Well, I was very calm actually.
Okay.
With everything happening from home for me, of course I was at home and I listened to the news and, listened to Daniel Andrews delivering the news to us. He was tiptoeing, on how he delivers that, and I could tell that there's a lockdown coming, and just as well. So he said it. Well, it's 5 days. Interesting. I'd like to see the findings. What 5 days have in store, the difference that 5 days can make, really. Apparently it worked in Brisbane, it worked in Adelaide. So I'm looking forward to see the difference that they're talking about.
Me too. I'm looking forward, and I hope it's 5 days. You know why I was shocked? I was talking to a friend of mine, and she said, somebody's ringing me many times. I'm like, okay, just answer. Hold on. So I was holding on, and she said, this person said it's likely to be a lockdown, and she's panicking. I'm like, what? Where is that coming from? And then I said, okay, I'll talk to you later. I opened my phone, the news came, lockdown. I'm like, we were just talking, there's likely to be, and now there is. What am I supposed to do? What's happening? So it was just a big shock. But I just hope it's going to be 5 days. By the way, I need to say that this coronavirus is coming closer to me.
Why?
There is an outbreak in Point Cook.
Wow.
So I need to say, actually, yesterday I did a video to say that the shop is going to be open. The shop is not going to be open anymore now. Because I don't want to put people at risk. I don't want to put myself at risk. I don't know where people have been. So if you need to buy anything from the store, ring me directly. You can pick up at the door, or we drop at your door. If you're 5 kilometers from us, we can just drop off or you pick up, but there's no shop opening for me anymore because I don't want to put people at risk. I don't want to put my family at risk as well. So there's an outbreak confirmed in Point Cook. So that's it for me No more shop for the 5 days. Hopefully it's 5 days and we take it from there after that. Yeah, but it's really, really funny. Anyway, let's talk about Valentine's. Valentine's is coming tomorrow. What do you reckon about Valentine's? One of my friends sent something out on the Facebook and said, "Why do people carrying on about Valentine's? Every day should be Valentine's anyway." And I agree 100%. Every day should be Valentine. You know, Valentine for yourself. But I tell you what happened in my family today. My daughter got this bouquet, this flower. It's humongous. It's this long she got, and we don't know who sent it. And the person is like, "You're this, you're that." I'm like, "Really? Can you put my name on it?" Because they engraved her name on the flower. I'm like, "Can I share part of it?" That was awesome. So I just want to use this opportunity to say she doesn't know who he was. And then she was a little bit, she didn't know if she was to be upset or she was to be happy. And I said to her, "Really, you don't need to be upset." And there was me speaking in my family, like, "Why didn't this person put his name there? Who is this?" It could be she, it could be he, whoever. And then she said to me, "Mom and Dad, I think you guys sent it to you too." We thought we sent it to her, but we didn't. We said, "No, we didn't," because there's some romantic words there. "You are my life." This person even said, "If you don't notice me, I'm going to get some people to die with me for your sake."
Oh my goodness.
Something like that. But I said to her, I said, "Look, somebody actually think you're valuable and you're worth this. Enjoy today, this moment. You might not have nothing to do with the person next moment, but I'll be appreciative that somebody cares about you or do something that is good, for you." So I just want to remind everybody that if you have somebody in mind that you care, it could be me. Send me flowers. I love flowers. We sent flowers to Liz, and that was a highlight in 2020. That's how much some people value.
Absolutely,
I
absolutely.
mean, I think so. Celebrate each other. Send flowers to anybody that you care about. Whatever it is, it's just a reminder because sometimes we take things for granted. So I'm expecting something. I'm still open just in case. You never know. You might.
Yeah. Now that goes for me as well. I
Oh,
think yeah, Daniel Andrews must have tempered with some plans, but still, we grown ups, so we can find our way around.
that's right. Flower, Heidi, you care for flower, bunch of flowers?
Um,
Flowers?
Well, I have a lot of flowers in my garden. My next door neighbor, she's got so much flowers. She gives me a bunch of flowers at least once a week.
It's true.
So I receive a lot of flowers all the time, and I love flowers. I love colors, and I have lots around. In terms of accepting or getting flowers from others, look, the flowers are just a means to say a message. So I bet, people are trying to find ways to say things, and flowers is one of them. It could be, "Look, I appreciate you. I want to send you flowers." And it could be, "I respect you." And it could be so many different reasons. And love in a romantic way is just one way. And I remember one day that it was Valentine's Day. I think it was a couple of years ago, and I was picking up the girls from school, and one of the mothers actually gave me a flower, and she said, "Happy Valentine's Day." I thought, wow, what happened? This lady actually brought like a bunch of red roses, and she gave it to all the single women that she knows.
Oh,
And
that's
then she said, "Listen,"
nice.
yes, she goes, "I don't know if you're going to receive flowers today, but at least you got one from me. So happy Valentine's
Oh, I
Day."
would love to do that. I would love to do that.
Yes, that was
Whoa.
so amazing. I loved it. I appreciate it so much. And I felt
Wow.
so special because she thought of me. She goes, "Look, I don't know if you're going to receive anything, but there you go. I love you and happy Valentine's." So that was really,
Oh, so
yeah.
sweet.
Yes,
Wow. I love
yes,
that.
That is
yeah,
thoughtful, very
Well,
yeah.
thoughtful of you.
next
Mm.
year, if I still have some single mothers or ladies around me, they probably will get flower next year because this year is too late now. Thank you, Heidi, for sharing that.
That's
It's really,
right.
that's very good. I mean, it's a reminder. It's a reminder.
Yes,
But
yeah, true.
So it's a good one. Now, let us go on a quick break because the topic that we're going to talk about today is heavy,
Yes,
but
it is.
it is very heavy. And I know that some of us have been panicking about it. I don't know why, but we go on a quick break and we'll be back very shortly. Welcome again to this edition of Hanging Out with Temi. We've been bantering before. If you're just coming for the first time, welcome. Get a cup of tea. Hey, ladies, as we do, I thought I'm going to go this blue today. But,
I've got water today.
oh, yeah, Liz is the good one today. But anyway, we got a powerful presenter coming. But I've got a question I want to ask you, ladies. What do you do with Christmas card with cards? You know, seasonal cards that you get. What do you do with them? I've got plenty of cards, and I was going through all the cards. They're so beautiful. I can't throw them away. Am I an order or what? What do you do with them?
The ones that really mean something to me, I keep.
Yeah.
I have boxes and boxes of things that mean a lot to me, so I just keep them. You know, some birthday cards, some, you know, I keep all my mum's birthday cards, for example, because she's very, she's really religious on cards. She buys cards and she writes cards, and you know, she loves that. So it means a lot to her. It means a lot to me, so I keep them. And my daughter's cards, since they were kids, I keep all of that. Some of the Christmas cards and some of the, you know, like different, like christening cards for the girls, and you know, all of that, I keep them because they mean something. You know, I really love. But the ones that just have, you know, like Merry Christmas, and you know, sign. That's it. Okay, well, I don't think so. The ones that really mean something to me, I keep. Yeah.
Liz, what do you do with them apart from earrings?
Yeah, I have, you know, there's some the kids' books where they kind of draw some stuff, or they, you know, glue some posters and things like that in. I do actually buy that.
Yes.
And then I just, you know, glue my cards in. They're the ones that are important to me. So at the end of the year, I'd probably have a, you know, a book that I just flip, you know, because those are quite long and, you know, a bit thick. So you just kind of flip through it, and then you've got everything you want in that one place. That's what I have, you know, back home. I haven't been receiving much here, so yeah,
Oh, really?
yeah, no, nothing yet.
Okay, now we heard you.
Yes.
Now we heard you.
Yeah, Australia is not very. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah, but then that will help you with everything that you've been receiving over the years, you know, just to keep it in one place.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm not alone. I keep them. I keep some beautiful cards. I thought I'm the,
Yeah.
especially when you have the family photo or when it's written, and of course, all my husband's photo card for 30 years. You cannot even throw it away. It's crazy. It's
Mm.
really good. So I keep all those things as well. But yeah, that's what I thought I would share today. Let us go to today's topic. It's a big one, and this topic happened to be talking about this with Heidi like even a month ago or so, and we were talking, we were getting passionate, and Heidi was asking me some personal question, you know, like I was asking. It was so good, and funny enough, Liz wasn't there, and Liz asked again this question, and so recently it's been questioned around this stuff. So I thought it's worth talking about. And of course, I've got somebody that has been dealing with all this for ever for a long time. He said she knows in and out, and she's closer to me, in the person of my own auntie. I'm like, let me ask her to be able to share with us, so we can ask questions. And so we're so gracious to have our presenter. So I'm going to be bringing our presenter in for tonight. So let's get ready. You excited?
I'm so excited. I'm so looking forward to this. Yes.
I know you are. Yes, hello, welcome to Hanging Out with Tammy. How are you doing today?
Thank you very much. Thanks for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be part of your talk show.
Fantastic. That's it. I call her Auntie Wemi. And you haven't met the ladies, but the ladies ask questions, okay? This auntie will ask you question if you don't. So that's Liz there, and this is Heidi.
Hello, Liz. Hello, Heidi.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Auntie, I need to ask you a question. How long have you been in Australia for?
Oh, a very long time. This June, it will be 30 years. We came in 1991.
1991.
That's a long time. Yeah, we came as skilled migrants in 1991. And of course, at that time, we had no idea of what was waiting in Australia. We had no idea what we would find here because we lived in Jos at that time. And we went to try and find out from a few friends if they knew anyone who had lived in Australia. And everybody kept saying, why Australia? Why are you going to Australia? It's too far. Go to the UK, go to the US. Australia is too far. There was no one. But at that time, if you have the skills and you apply as a permanent resident, they give you a visa and they just tell you, look, when you get to Australia, you would be on Centrelink payment while you look for work, because there was no condition to look for work before you come at that time. As long as you have all the required skills and you score all the points, they're happy to give you your visa immediately to come here and start. So we just came here in 1991 to,
But
to start our life here. Yeah.
How many children did you come with? 3?
Oh, 3. I have 2 daughters and my son is the youngest. Yeah, 3. Two of them were born in the UK because I did postgraduate studies at the University of Leeds. So Muba was born in Sheffield. My second one, Tommy, was born at Jos because I was teaching at Command Secondary School in Jos. And my son, Lokoya, was born at Leeds when I was doing my master's in economics. Yep.
Oh, so you were doing your degree in London. You had a child. You went back to Nigeria, and then you came back and had another child.
Yeah. So what happened was the very month after we got married, my husband got a United Nations scholarship to do his master's in Sheffield. So my first child was born in Sheffield. But then, of course, you go back to work, and he went back to Jos. He was working with one of the federal parastatals, and I was teaching at Command Secondary School. Then he applied for another United Nations scholarship for a PhD in Leeds, and then we moved back to the UK, and we lived in Leeds at this time, and that was when I did my master's in economics. Yep.
Wow.
And then we went back to Nigeria and applied for a visa to come to Australia because I knew we had the option to go to Canada, but I felt Canada was too cold. And it's been a good move.
You have moved so much, so far. That's wonderful. And you're blessed with these amazing children and many grandchildren now. They're popping them every year for you. So you're a very busy woman.
Yeah. 5 grandkids.
We appreciate you. Thank you so much, ma.
Yeah, thank you.
When people come on our show, the first thing we do for them is we play our music and intro for them to calm down before we get to the deep end of today's topic. So please wait and enjoy our music.
All right, thank you.
you enjoy our music?
Oh, that was good. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank
So
you. Thank you.
today's topic, thank you for honoring to share with us. And like I said before you came on, about over a month ago, I was talking, I think I drove to somewhere in the east with Heidi. We were driving for 2 hours, and while we were talking, something came. This topic came, and we were talking about it. And Heidi was passionate. She was, and I was passionate. We were asking questions. So in Nigeria, what do you do? I'm like, really? We do something, but it's not that as graphic as you're saying it. And like 2 3 weeks ago as well, we were talking, and Liz brought this topic and just said this is a good topic to talk about. I'm like, I think this is the time. Usually when we're going to talk about a topic, we all talk about it independently, and we just came back and it comes to the same. And we're just privileged to have you
Yeah,
to
thank
talk
you.
to us about. And I
Yeah,
know that you deal with this anyway. So
yeah.
the question is tell us about it. We don't even need to ask you a question. We just say, tell us, please,
Okay.
about what is, because I know personally this is illegal in Australia.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, of course, I've sent you some slides. I will see how we go. But I'll
Yes.
just give a bit of introduction to start with. I work in one of the hospitals in Melbourne,
Yeah.
and we are all aware of the fact that a lot of families have moved into Australia either as migrants or refugees. And among some of these communities that have moved and settled into Australia, there's a practice called female genital mutilation, but I would rather use the word female circumcision in most of the things that I'll be going through because it's a better, I prefer that term. We tend to leave the word mutilation for mainly medical. It's when you're talking in terms of the medical aspect, but when we are dealing with the community, it's a very it's a term that it's not really they don't like the term. So I would focus on using the word female circumcision instead of female genital mutilation. So a lot of countries other than Australia, the UK, the US, and quite a number of Western countries have welcomed migrants and refugees that come from countries where this practice happens. And we are aware of the fact that it's not a practice that is of benefit to the women or the girls, and these countries do not want the practice to continue.
Wow.
So other than just focusing on legislation, focusing on the punitive aspect of the um, of female circumcision, these Australia chose to employ some members of the African community, and they are there to, on one hand, support the women that are already circumcised when they come here, and on the other hand, to try and encourage so that the practice will not continue. So the government is really focusing on, how would I say, helping rather than, okay, you circumcise your child, you're going to jail. So it's not the punitive aspect that is the focus. So maybe we could go through the definition of female circumcision. Do you want to put on the first slide?
Yeah.
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 So the World Health Organization's definition is that all procedures that involve partial or total removal of the external female genitalia or other injury to the female genital organ for non-medical reason. So any injury that has no medical need is covered by that term. And in the year 2012, the United Nations General Assembly accepted a resolution eliminating female circumcision.
Wow.
You may ask, why are they keeping the word female genital mutilation? Why? In the medical aspect, they felt that if we just focus on the word only circumcision, it's light. It doesn't really carry the weight of the impact that procedure has on women and girls. So it's necessary to keep that word in most of the publications. But as I said, we don't use mutilation when we're dealing with the women or girls that are affected by the procedure.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing we need to bring up is the fact that the practice is not only in Africa. There are about 30 countries in Africa. It's practiced in the Middle East, like countries like Yemen, Oman, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates. It's practiced in parts of Indonesia, India, Malaysia, and Pakistan. And we are also aware of the fact that these communities that practice female circumcision are likely, some of them are trying to take the practice along to the countries where they're settled. So other than those countries that I've mentioned, Europe, Canada, and a few countries where these communities have settled, there is some members of the community that are still trying to continue the practice. So that is why, as I said, the Commonwealth government felt, look, we are going to employ some members of this community who would, on one hand, try and explain and provide support and direct the women that are circumcised into appropriate medical attention, and also to try and encourage them not to continue the practice. So we would still come through some of the reasons why some of the communities tend to want to continue this practice. You may also want to ask what age, when does it happen? The practice is different depending on the religion, and it also depends on where. There are some communities where they tend to circumcise their girls when they're about 6 years old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And some others would circumcise their girls at the time when they are moving from being children to adults. So for them, it's a sort of initiation to adulthood.
Yeah.
But the ones that is of importance and the ones that we tend to focus on are the ones that are performed on little girls. So I would bring up a country like Somalia. It's not that I'm picking them, but we have a lot of Somalis that are settled here. The practice usually happens when a girl is about 6 years old. So with the time that I worked in this area, I have found out that if a family from that country comes into Australia and they have girls, the girls that are below the age of 6 are usually not yet circumcised, and the ones that have already gone past the age of 6 tend to they are already circumcised.
Okay.
Yep. So I don't know whether you would wait until I finish the presentation and ask questions, or how do you want us to go? Do you want to ask questions as I go?
I have a question already.
You have a question already. Maybe what I would say is, let me go through the notes. There are some of the questions you may want to ask, which I would eventually cover.
Okay.
So let's just start writing down your questions. It's possible I will cover some of the things.
Okay.
So of course, the number of women and girls that have gone through the practice, the estimation is we have up to 200 million girls and women who have been subjected to female circumcision. And every year, there are still millions that have been subjected to circumcision. And the United Nations has picked a date, the 6th of February of every year, as the International Day of Zero Tolerance to Female Circumcision. So every year, we tend to host events just to bring out the awareness and to just bring it into public focus that, look, this practice is still continuing. There's work going on everywhere in the world. They're making effort to try and make sure that the practice does not continue. So what is a circumcision? Is it just one type? Is it just one single thing? No. There are different types of levels of circumcision or grades, and that is why we've it's been classified into type 1, type 2, type 3, and type 4. So type 1,
Oh dear.
yeah. Do you want to
Yes,
talk?
yes, yes.
Yeah. So type
I,
1, we've tried to put some drawings. I'm not sure if it's clear from there. The type 1 is where we have the excision of the clitoris. So it's just the clitoris that's been cut out. That is type 1.
that's the,
Then the second type is where we have not only the clitoris, but also the labia minora. So meaning it's the next level. The minor one is just having the clitoris excised, cut off. The second type, type 2, is where we have the clitoris taken off, as well as the labia minora taken out. And those are kind of the minor ones. So the one that is of most importance in terms of the work that I do in the hospital is type 3. Type 3 has a medical term which is called infibulation. And infibulation means they've cut out all the external genitalia and then it's all stitched up and there's just a very little opening left, which is just for urination. And of course, we even have women who, for some of the women, even their menstrual flow is not coming through because the opening is that small. So that is type 3. And that type 3 has a medical term called infibulation. So when you hear the word infibulation, it means all the labia majora and minora has been excised and everything has been stitched up to leave a very little opening for urination and menstrual flow. So, of course, the obvious question will be, okay, type 4, I forgot about type 4. Type 4 is any other procedure that does not fall into type 1, type 2, or type 3. So it could be just ordinary pricking or scraping or piercing, because some communities just want to do something small. So anything that does not belong to category type 1, 2, or 3 falls under type 4. So what is the majority? 90% of women that are circumcised, they experience type 1, 2, or 4. So for type 3, only 10% of women that are circumcised experience type 3, which is the one we call infibulation. There are some myths and there are some facts which I usually tend to bring up when I go through these sessions. There are women or there are members of the community out there who think that, oh, it's a Muslim thing. It is Muslims that circumcise their girls. It's got nothing to do with the religion, because we have had sessions with imams, and there is nowhere in the Quran, and of course with the Christians, there's nowhere in the Bible where circumcision is mentioned. It's not something that is required for Muslims. So it's a myth if anybody tells you that, oh, that's a Muslim practice. There are communities, there are countries where circumcision happens. I'm originally from Nigeria, and the part of Nigeria, there are some part of southern Nigeria where the procedure happens, and they're not necessarily Muslims. So this has nothing to do with religion, because there's no section of the Bible, there's no section of the Quran where it mandates anyone to circumcise their girls. There are others too who think, oh, if it's the minor type, it's not a big deal. There's no consequences for girls. But of course, we know there are consequences for girls. So whether it's type 1, type 2, no matter how minor it is, it still has consequences for girls. It really has no value. And this would now bring me to the reasons which we have in literature. Why would families do that? Why would a mother or father choose to circumcise their girls? There has been different, they've brought out different reasons. The first one, of course, is they think that to safeguard the virginity of your daughter, it's very important to circumcise her, because uncircumcised girls are believed to be overly sexualized with uncontrolled sexual drive, which will cause her to lose virginity and disgrace her family.
Mm-hmm.
Some others will say, oh, it's our cultural identity. A girl has to be circumcised. That is us. That is what marks us apart from other communities. That is what we do. Others too feel that, well, a man will not really want to marry a girl if he finds out she's not circumcised, because circumcision is important. And a lot of parents too think, in the past, I'm not talking about now, that you have a daughter, you want to prepare her for marriage. You want her to have the best opportunity for a very good home to move to. So what would make that difficult if it turns out that she's not a virgin? So preparing a girl for marriage, right from when they're small, they feel, oh, this is what we need to do. Because if we infibulate our daughter, it's already so tight. She's not going to go and have one night, whatever, with her boyfriend, because it's just too painful. It's hard. She really will not, it will not be a pleasant experience for her. So for us to be able to maintain her innocence, we have to make sure we circumcise her. Then, of course, I've mentioned the fact that it's the rite of passage for some communities, and it's also, they also believe that it enhances a man's sexual pleasure. A smaller vagina opening will enhance his sexual pleasure and prevent divorce and unfaithfulness. And the last reason I have here is it's a source of income for the women who are the circumcisers, because they found out that when they tried to stop the practice in some of the communities in I'm not sure whether it was in Liberia or Sierra Leone, some of the women felt, well, that's our source of income. We don't want the practice to continue because that's where we get our money. So we just felt in those sort of communities, they have to look for other means of income generation sources for the women, so that they will not be one of those who will be trying to kind of promote and hang on to the practice. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it's, of course, we know that the Declaration of Elimination of Violence Against Women, it provides a very broad definition of violence against women. And one of the definition is that female circumcision is based on violence that results in or is likely to result in physical, sexual, mental health suffering to women. And it infringes on the right of the child, and it is also a form of oppression, which is founded on the manipulation of a woman's sexuality and is intended to maintain male dominance and exploitation.
Okay.
Yep. I hope you're following.
Yes,
Yeah, so now to get to the legislation, we are all aware of the fact that it's illegal to practice female circumcision in Australia, and it is also illegal to take a child overseas to have the procedure and bring the child back. Because I have known instances where some of the mothers who are still kind of keen would say, well, I'm just going to go on holidays with my child overseas, and I'll make sure that happens. And I actually met one young woman who was in uni, and when I was asking if she went through the procedure, and her response was that when her mother felt, look, it's not going to be possible to have this procedure done in Australia, he took them off to live in Egypt for 2 years. And during the time they lived in Egypt, all herself and her sisters were circumcised. And she felt, well, by the time we go back to Australia after 2 years, it's not likely it's going to come up. It's not going to be an issue, and she will possibly not get into trouble. But for those who take their kids overseas during the long holidays and think they can sneak and get this done, my advice usually is that when you get back, the kids are already in school. A child that is 6, 7, 8 is already in school. When you get when you get back from your holidays and you go ahead to circumcise a girl, there's something they call show and tell in school. It's likely the teachers will ask who went on holidays and if any interesting things happen. A child is still very innocent. That child may say, oh, I'm never going overseas with my parents next time. What happened? No way, I'm never going. And we know that there's something we call notification. There's mandatory reporting. There's mandatory reporting for school principals. There's mandatory reporting for medical doctors and for I think social workers. So we just tend to encourage the women not to, because if you come back, you get into trouble. So it's part of what we try to emphasize. So the only other sections that I want to quickly go through are the effect. How does it affect a person? If a person has been circumcised, what are the risks? The immediate risk is hemorrhage. There's a lot of pain. There is shock. There's genital tissue swelling. It leads to infections. There's urination problems. There is wound healing problems, and it could also lead to death. Those are the possible immediate risks. We also have obstetric risks. The obstetric risks include the fact that a woman may end up having to have a cesarean section delivery. And well, cesarean section is not what any woman would prefer as a first option to deliver. But if the woman has been infibulated, it may be a very difficult delivery. Of course, there are options of giving episiotomy, which is what they tend to do. A woman may even have 2 episiotomies so that there's enough room for the baby to be delivered, but all those obstetric risks are there. So other obstetric risks include postpartum hemorrhage, prolonged labor, instrumental delivery. Instrumental delivery is when they have to use a forceps or a vacuum just to help bring the baby out. It could lead to stillbirth, and they may have to resuscitate the baby after the child has had to go through all that at the time of delivery. We also have sexual function risks. What are the sexual function risks? There's a decreased sexual satisfaction for the woman. There's a lot of pain during sexual intercourse. It reduces the desire and arousals, and there's decreased lubrication during sexual relations. What are the psychological risks? There are post-traumatic stress disorders. We have a lot of women who may develop anxiety or depression. And in terms of the long-term risk, there could be genital tissue damage, vaginal discharge, vaginal itching, menstrual problem. You remember I mentioned that for some women, the opening is so small, the menstrual flow is even a problem. Some of them would have to go into a hospital to get help. And so what tends to happen is with the work I do, we tend to get calls. We tend to get women who request for appointment under 2 categories. The first set of women are those women who are about to get married. I tend to get calls, and she would say, look, I have type 3, I am getting married. Can I book an appointment to have what we call defibrillation? Defibrillation is when the circumcision is opened, because if she does not present to have defibrillation, her wedding night will be it will be a very painful experience. And I usually tell the women, you don't have to go through that pain. Have a discussion with your husband to be. If you reach an agreement, get an appointment, come in, and usually they do a general, because we don't want to have a woman have to experience defibrillation while she's still awake. The option that they offer in my hospital is that they should knock her out so that she will not have a recurrence of how she was held down. Because usually when the girls are circumcised, most of it is not really done in hospitals. It's done by the local women, and they hold the girl down. And there are times when it's the same knife, the same blade they will use for quite a number of the girls. And so the only way not to allow a woman to have all those flashbacks is to knock her out, and they do it under a general. So the other set of women, of course, who require defibrillation will be those who present when they're pregnant to start their antenatal care. And so the usual option is to see if you'd agree that the procedure happens mid-pregnancy. We don't tend to do it early pregnancy because, you know, the possibility of a miscarriage is there. And if it's done mid-pregnancy around 20 weeks, that means that at the time when the woman is about to deliver, when she's 40 weeks, it's already a bit opened, and it makes it easy for the midwife who is looking after the woman or the obstetrician to monitor the progress of labor. Because if a woman is type 3 infibrillated, they cannot even monitor the progress of labor when she's in the birth suit. So it tends to be preferred. But just as you know, everything is optional. If a woman says, oh, look, Wemi, can you give me a guarantee if I come in mid-pregnancy and have it open, what would happen? Are you sure I'm not going to be caught again when I come in to deliver? Well, there are no guarantees in life. There are women that are not circumcised and they still end up having to have an episiotomy when they're about to give birth. So there are no guarantees. It's just that it's better if you come in, have it done mid-pregnancy. By the time you want to put to bed, things are not very difficult. Yeah, so I think I've covered most of the things that I want to touch on. I think we are open to questions now.
Okay.
Yes.
Stop sharing.
Yes.
Wow, thank you so much. That is amazing. And I know that I can see Heidi's face. She's going red. And
Yeah.
I can tell. So we're gonna go on a quick break. Thank you so much, Auntie, for that. That is, even I'm shaking. I don't know if it's the AC that is making me shaky or is the presentation. I know it's a big one, but it's what is happening and is what we are doing. And so now that we're hearing it, it's shocking to us, but that's what is being practiced. And that's the essence of this topic today. Thank you so much, Ma. We're going to go on a quick break. If you got a comment, if you got anything to add to it, you can write a comment. You can even ring us. It's okay to call in. But we go on a quick break and we'll be right back. Welcome back.
All right.
My first question is,
Yes.
we do a bit of this in Nigeria, as you said, the type 1.
Yes.
And I'm just wondering, people will think, why are we doing even the type 1 in the first place? I know type 3 is unheard, and that, to me, I'm sorry, it's I don't want to talk, it's just ridiculous, because the effect of it does not justify anything. If I have to be sewn all through, and I can't even I can't even do the period, where does the period back flow to? It's just ridiculous. But type 1, I'm just wondering, why do we even do the type 1? Because a lot of us, we just know they're doing it, we're just doing it. We don't even know the essence. You touched on one thing that they said, growing up, I used to hear older women says, if you don't circumcise your child, they're going to be promiscuous. Yes. So we're scared that we don't want them to be too active, to be whatever it is. And but that's why they do the type 1. So I hope they're not even doing type 1 in places like Nigeria again. in the first place. So is it
Yeah.
is it is it confirmed that people that are circumcised are more less promiscuous than the people that are uncircumcised? I don't think I saw a research confirming any of this.
Yeah. I just felt a lot of women just felt, look, this is us, this is what we do. So let's continue the practice. And part of the focus I tend to put when I'm discussing with women who think that circumcision is still important is the fact that you are here in Australia. Your daughters have the opportunity to study. They have the opportunity to be able to do well and earn an income. It is not a place where you are trying to get your daughter ready to have a good marriage so that she would have someone who will look after her. So part of the reason for all the focus on, oh, I want her to at least have a good husband to be able to marry. These girls are all doing well. They are having their own careers. They're out there. They're with the men competing in all the different fields. So it's I usually say, look, you're not preparing your girls for marriage. That's not the important thing now. You want them to do well in school and have a career and to be able to look after themselves. When they walk into a good marriage, when they marry someone who's able to also participate with them in earning a very good income, that's all fine. But it's no longer a time where you would think, my girls, I'm just getting them ready for marriage to be acceptable, to be virgins, to be to move into a good married life. So that's part of that.
Can't believe this. So, I mean, I saw a video of a girl. I think it was Liz that sent the video to me once, actually. She was 18 years old and she lives in America. She was born in the USA. And then she went to Somalia to have this done. She came back and she was fighting. She said she wanted to have, no, it wasn't Somalia. It was
Not Sierra Leone or Liberia. It's Sierra Leone or Liberia.
She
Yes.
was Sierra Leone. She went back home to get this done to fulfill all righteousness and to feel that she's part of the culture. And I say, well, if that's what you want to do at after 18, and if it's not illegal in your country, because then that's one of the things I was going to touch with you, Auntie, because you said when they come back, there's no severe consequences for it. They're educating them not to do it. Is there a penalty for it if you're caught?
Yeah, I never said there was no consequence. There is jail time. If you take your child overseas and she's circumcised, you are going to jail if they find out. Because of course there's going to be investigation. There will be obstetricians that will be involved who would actually examine to make sure that the child is circumcised or not. And there's jail time. So I never said that they will get away scot-free. No, they will not get away scot-free. But the program that I work under, we are not focusing on the punitive aspect. We just want to encourage women not to continue the practice. And those who have arrived here, who are already circumcised, we want to make sure that the appropriate medical facility is available for them. So I've done this job for the past 23 years. In the past, usually when I meet women from those communities, they say, yeah, I'm circumcised. They did it before I came to Australia. But the good news is that those who are in their 20s now, who are the ones that are coming into, who are getting pregnant and coming in for their antenatal care, when I ask, usually the response is, oh, I'm lucky. I was not 6 years old when my parents brought me here. I was only 2. So they did not have the opportunity to circumcise me before I got here. The others are maybe even possibly born here. Oh, are you circumcised? Now, I was born in Australia. My sisters are, but I got away because I was born here. Or I was only 2 years old when they brought me here. So it's not something that is that rampant any longer. Yeah, it's definitely jail time. If it's proved that a person has circumcised their child, there's jail time. There is. All the different states in Australia has legislation against it. Yeah. There's jail time if it's proven that
Wow,
it
this
happened.
is a very serious matter. It's so,
Yeah.
I mean, it does, it makes a lot of sense because the effect of this psychologically, I know I heard of a lady that, sometimes people, they smell sometimes. It makes a lot of sense. Why would you not smell if there's a backflow of something that is supposed to be gotten rid of in your
Yeah.
body, and you have to go to the hospital every 3 months to get cleaned up?
Yeah.
I don't know if ID will be able to even speak, because are you okay, ID? Are you drinking water?
I'm good. I'm good. Yes. Yes.
You should be happy now because there's a jail term to it. It's especially
There's
those
jail time. Sure,
stage
there's jail
3
time.
and stage 4 is barbaric. Please, you
Yeah,
were asking about this too. You're curious about it.
yeah. Well, the one thing that I want to find out is, does labiaplasty fall under mutilation? We
Aha.
we are in a society where everybody wants to look good, and what
Yep.
is good is according to you. So somebody wants to make things bigger, other one might wants to make them smaller,
Okay.
and we can go to places where you can alter whatever you want to alter.
Yeah. Yes.
So isn't labiaplasty falling under mutilation, and
Okay.
if not, why?
Yeah. Okay. That comes up quite often. And with the set of people that I work with, or the other workers who are focusing on providing support, we felt if we allow ourselves to be drawn into the argument and the debate about labiaplasty, we would move away from the fact that the procedure among the community of interest happens when they are girls, when they don't have a choice. But labiaplasty happens usually with adults. It
That's
happens with women who are already adults. And usually, you can't just rock up in one of the maternity hospitals and say, hello, I've come for labiaplasty. It's part of, how would I say, plastic surgery. It's something that happens with women and their private doctors. And so we just felt that, yeah, it happens. If a woman who is of African descent too feels that she wants to make arrangement with her private plastic surgeon, I don't know if he would say no. I'm not sure. I've not heard about Africans who bother to do that. But labiaplasty is usually happening among adults. And our own focus and work is focusing on the right of the child, looking after the right of girls who don't have a choice and this happens to them. I don't know if that comment adds to your thought about labiaplasty.
it's
Yeah,
true.
I understand the distinction. Yeah, it doesn't answer my question, but I understand the distinction. You're not the right person to answer this. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and
get that.
also what I was going to contribute is, Auntie, some kids do labiaplasty as well, but they consented to it with their parents. But what your distinction between labiaplasty and this is that we take the kids there when they don't even know, and we just say, do it for them. So that is what the government, Australian government is, or the Western government are all fighting about. While you're saying that, I've got something from Obama. Let me just play this for us to watch for very quickly.
To be adapted to a new age. Now, I have to say, there's some traditions that just have to be gotten rid of, and there's no excuse for them. Female genital mutilation, I'm sorry, I don't consider that a tradition worth hanging on to. I think that's a tradition that is barbaric and should be eliminated. Violence towards women. I don't care for that tradition. I'm not interested in it. It needs to be eliminated. So part of the task is to find what traditions are worth hanging on to, and what traditions you got to get rid of. I mean, there was a tradition in medicine that if you were sick, they would bleed you. That's a bad tradition. We discover, let's try other things like medicine. That's so we don't have to cling on to things that just don't work. And subjugating women does not work. And
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That is to have the president of the United States of America, I mean, ex-president, says this is mutilation, and you said something, Auntie, that they try to call it circumcision, but really it's mutilation.
It's mutilation. Yeah.
Brutalizing, and
Yeah.
see that there's no benefit really. The benefit is still sectional, because they're part of it. There's some men enjoy sexual derive benefit from it. So because I want to derive benefit, I have to go through this suture. And also when I want to have a baby, they have to cut me open. The question is, how long does that defibrillation, how long does the wound take to heal? And how do you dress the wound? That's
I'm not a medical person, but what we had, because part of the questions that I tend to ask, some women who have had babies before they come to Australia, maybe 2, 3, usually they would cut at the time of delivery, get the baby out, stitch everything tight for the next time when she needs to give birth again, they cut and stitch back. So it keeps going on and on. But here, of course, they just tell you how to keep the place clean. So if a woman is infibulated, when they do the episiotomy, when the baby is delivered, the stitching would not be as tight. So the stitching would look like what a female genitalia looked like prior to when she experienced the circumcision. So the amount of opening, they will try to make it similar to what normal looks like.
This is I'm glad that there's penalty for it. I'm really glad.
Yes, there's penalty. Yeah, there's jail time if they can prove. It's just being able to prove that a girl has gone through circumcision by, it's the proof that is usually the problem. I know there are cases that have been taken to court in New South Wales. Yes.
Yeah. So if it's cultural, it's not acceptable, and if it does, actually, I don't know if it's even, they say religions, like you said, we do now heart circumcision, heart connection with God. It's in the Abrahamic period when it was a covenant between one person and God, not between all of us and their generation. But when this is in the Old Testament, and when in the next New Testament, when we have Jesus, he's taking everything away. So we don't need to do physical blood, like oaths. They call it oaths, by blood. But now we do circumcision by heart. So religiously, in terms of Christianity, it's not mandated, and it's not necessary. And like you said, a lot of Muslims too, they don't even do it. I heard one imam was saying that no, it's ridiculous. An imam went for it, says we don't do it. In my own Quran, it did not say that a woman should be subjected to that realization. I'm glad you shine so much light on this, for us to know, and the effect of it. The effect of it is so unbelievable, ma. So bad. Hemorrhage, pain, shock, even death. And the one that is not even negotiable is infection. You're going to be infected. So we cannot lie to ourselves, because even when you're clean and it's open, you're still prone to a lot of urinary tract infection, all that. But when it's now closed, it's just purulent. You can be sure you're going to be infected, so you're not going to be clean. So I wonder what the men wanting it want to get from there. And the women that you said they're using it as source of income, they should just go and find another source of income. They can do other things. They can cut part of the body, but not, you don't need to call and call their critical for money, really. And I think it's ignorance, like Obama said, is barbaric. You know.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to find out. I'm conscious of the time, but just in case there is some information on that one as well. With regards to the boys' circumcision, is there the law saying anything about that in Australia?
Oh no. Circumcision still happens even in public hospitals in Australia. The hospital where I work, of course, it doesn't happen there, but they would ask you to get in touch either if you want to wait for a referral to go to a public hospital, it may take time, but with a lot of, at least with Nigerians, most people prefer to do it very early. All the Jews usually would do it on the 7th day. In my own culture as a Yoruba too, usually we prefer to do it when a child is a week old. So there are places where it's where you can book. So it's not illegal. There are quite a lot of families that still circumcise their kids. So I tend to get that question. Some of the women will say, "Look, I'm having a boy. Is it possible in this hospital?" No, at the hospital where I work, there's nothing like circumcision. But if you get in touch with your GP, they will refer you to places where you can book and pay to have it done. Yeah, public hospitals to do it, but there's a waiting list, and most people don't want to wait.
Yeah. And that's a different one, because the boys one, we know that they, a lot of times when they're little, they're not able to host themselves and pull the skin back. This is excess skin that we know is popping over. And what happens to the ladies when they do this circumcision is what happened to the boys when they don't do circumcision, because then the skin overlap and they have, it get caked and get cloggy there and then get infected. I heard a story that a guy even lost the penis, dropped off, because the infection is already eating deep in. So it's for them to be able to expose and to clean and dry nicely. That's why the boy's incision. So that's why there hasn't been any side effect of the boy's circumcision. But the girl's circumcision, and especially when you are going to 2 and 3, you can see, in fact, the picture of the 4 is very gruesome. That's why Auntie said don't show it. You only have a tiny little dot where you can void. That's all. So there's no way you can have a baby. There's no way you can have a period. They say sometimes when you go to the bathroom, you be in the bathroom for an hour to void, to empty your bladder, because it's just dropping little by little. So what benefit is this? Anyway, we heard from the specialist. We heard from the president of the United States of America. I hope our prime minister will talk about it. It's no.
It's a no.
It's
no
no
circumcision. There's no benefit whatsoever. Yeah.
Is there enough awareness around this?
Sorry?
Is there enough awareness around this for little girls to actually understand what's happening and all of that, like to give them a warning? Because as a matter of fact, look, I know that you just said that, it's illegal in Australia. The fact is, it happens right here in Australia, right here. I know of families that they have their girls circumcised right here. And I don't know why they do it, but the fact is that they do it. And do these girls have any kind of awareness? Can they get some teaching at school? Can they tell on their parents? Can they escape? Is there a way that they can actually prevent the parents from doing that?
Yeah. I was told as part of the pack that they give to new migrants or refugees that are about to settle. Some of the time, the packs contain information, brochures about circumcision, that female circumcision is illegal, it's against the law. So I'm not sure if the schools have programs that include classes. I don't know if it's part of the school curriculum here. I'm not sure about that. Yeah.
Isn't it good?
Sorry?
Isn't it good that we're talking about it? This is an awareness. Now.
I know. Yes. I have one more question. Tell me why psychologically would a woman after she's been defibrillated, like you said, and she's had her baby, she actually asks the surgeon to sew her back up. Why?
Okay. I will give you an actual example. This is something that really happened while I was at work. The hospital where I work had another satellite clinic, and this woman got pregnant. She was expecting baby number 3, and on the very first day she got to see the midwife for her first visit, the first thing she told the midwife is, "Can you document in my history that I would have a cesarean section for the delivery of my baby?" So the midwife was curious and said, "Why would you want to have a cesarean?" And the explanation this woman gave was that, "I was married, I had 2 kids that were born here in Australia. And of course, I was defibrillated when I gave birth to my 2 children. My marriage broke down, and to be like a virgin for a new guy that I was going to marry, I traveled overseas to Nairobi, and this new guy paid $2,000 to have me re-infibrillated, because that was what he felt would be what he preferred." So she said, "After going to spend all this money to refix myself from overseas, why do you think I would allow anyone to have that thing open down there? I'm going to have a cesarean section. I don't want to try to deliver vaginally." That was what she said. So I said, "Well, that is left with you and your and the doctor who will be looking after you throughout your pregnancy, because there are times when you have to have a good reason to request for a cesarean section. If you are a private patient and you go through the private system, because there's so many people who go through private obstetric care. My daughter goes through private. You can always agree on anything with your private doctor. But when you come to the public system, to a public hospital, there are some rules and regulations. We have clinical guidelines. They have clinical guidelines why a woman should have a cesarean. And maybe that's not one of the reasons why they would agree and write and document that you're going to have a cesarean delivery. So maybe you can start to discuss it right from the start of your pregnancy with the obstetrician that you see. But when it's in the public system, there are some doctors who will say this is not a sufficient reason. All we need to do is give you an episiotomy or 2 and stitch it after. They may not consider this as a reason for a cesarean delivery.
Wow. I've got a couple of comments here that somebody says, "Tom, I have an idea. The stopping female circumcision will be more successful stopping male mutilation at the same time." He also said, "Boy circumcision has a lot of side effects. 120 boys die a year from circumcision in America." Well, that's news. So we can investigate. Infibulation is one of the female genital mutilation globally. It's one of the, it's not rare. Clitoris hood removal and clitoris cutting in Pakistan and Egypt are usual. So these things, but the ones that I saw is the infibulation in part of the country, which is what Auntie has presented. That was true. Apparently, we've got a couple of comments as well on that, maybe question. I'll have a quick look. If you can answer, if something that they wanted you to answer for us. Comment.
So she said
that was true. Apparently, we've got a couple of comments as well. Sorry. Unfortunately, I cannot see the comment. They said there are a couple of comments for us, but I can't see them right now. And so, Auntie, maybe when next we got the comments, sorry, I have to put that off. We're going to answer them later on, or ask you for the answers to the questions that is being asked on Facebook. I couldn't find them on my Facebook right now, but it's been fantastic. And a couple of questions is come up now. Idea that will stop women, female, FGM will be to also, sorry, how do I stop this? Will be also to stop the boys one as well. So that could be something. But all the women all over the world, though, we said no to
circumcision.
No to circumcision.
No to circumcision.
No to circumcision. And
there's no benefit.
No benefit. No benefit
whatsoever.
There's no pleasure. It's just psychological. And I think if the men think that's the only way to enjoy themselves, that's being sickling. They should just derive pleasure from something else, not cutting me and I'll be crying, I will be in pain. So this is one benefit for one group of people. And I think it's education, and I think it's awareness, and I think it's also compassion and value. All these things. If people say whatever you're doing to them is hurting them, it's bleeding, I'm crying, I'm in pain, I've got infection, why would you continue to practice it? It just doesn't make any sense to me. But anyway, the whole world, the people that around the world says no, and we're here hanging out with me, we says no. 6th of February every year, we're going to be campaigning for woman circumcision. We say
to
no.
end. 6th of February is the date, which is the recognized International Day of Zero Tolerance. Yeah, we mark it every year. Thank you so much.
So much. We appreciate you for all this. It's been awesome, and we're running out of time, but we will bring you back, Auntie. I'm sure we got a couple of questions, and people will be bashing us after this. I said, did you say no? If it's their value, I don't care if it's your value, it's barbaric and it should be stopped. And this note, thank you so much for now. And
thanks for having me.
And
thank
you, Ma. Thank you so much for your wisdom, intelligence.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Commitment. God bless you, Ma.
God bless. Thank you. Bye.
You're welcome. So we're gonna say bye-bye for now. ID, I know you are okay. You'll be fine.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.